Despite us living in a world where having a mental illness and having a problem is actually better than being a normally functioning person. Now I'm gonna talk to you about I'm gonna discuss to you about an event, about a phenomena where I talk to other people, to blue pillars, about MGTOW. You see, when I talk to people about MGTOW, my objective isn't to convert them to MGTOWs. My objective is actually to let people know what MGTOW is, because if they were any receptive to MGTOW ideas, they would have gravitated to MGTOW ideas. You see, so I find this very. You see, the reason why I started this channel in the first place is to follow the things that I am about to say right now. Okay, when you talk to people about MGTOW, you see, you're attacking women because you're saying bad things about women. You're saying that women are morally wrong. You're saying that women are bad or wrong or inferior or all this kind of stuff. You're saying, okay, and when you tell that to guys will actually feel attacked, even though you're attacking the women and you're not attacking them. This means that they worship pussy. They literally worship pussy. And you see, and I compare them to a drug addiction of a sort. You see, when you want to see if drug addiction is bad, you don't ask the drug addict, or you don't try drugs yourself. You look at the situation of the drug addict. You see, and the drug addict doesn't realize that heroin is bad. In fact, if you tell him that heroin is addictive, it gives you bad health, they're gonna say all kinds of stuff. Like they're gonna say that the CIA is trying to stop people from seeing the quote-unquote truth, and when you smoke drugs you can see all kinds of truth. You know, they're gonna say all this kind of garbage. So you gotta look at the situation, and MGTOWs actually step back from the long-term relationship, and I look at it and I see how bad it is. So yes, men are worshipping pussy, and when I talk to people about MGTOW, here are the responses that I get all the time. I mean, like, the first things that people usually arbitrarily dismiss MGTOW. For example, when I tell people, may you consider an ideology for a second? They say, sure. I mean, like, the thing, they try to say that they are considerate and all that garbage, so fine. So, and then when I say, oh, the ideology is about how marriage is bad, I don't usually say women are toxic, they're like serpents, they're predatorial. I don't say all that garbage. I just go to the most quote-unquote acceptable point. And then they will usually dismiss it. Like, for example, one guy said, what? And then disconnected from the chat room, which is arbitrary dismissal, or they will say that it's boring, and they're arbitrarily dismissing it. Another thing that they like to say is that they like to say that MGTOWs hate women, and I see where they're coming from. Actually, when they say that they hate women, that when we say that we hate women, they mean that hate is emotion and it's irrational. In a way, it's irrational. So basically, our hate drives us to say bad things about women. You see, so our stance on women is false. But to that I say, you can't hate something for no reason. You must hate something for a reason. Seriously, like you only hate for something for a reason. You don't hate something for no reason. So obviously MGTOWs must have hated women after finding out the MGTOW truth. Another thing that people like to say is that MGTOW is ideological. You see, the same MGTOW is ideological. There are many arguments that are synonymous with the there are many arguments that are centered around the fact that MGTOW is an ideology. And to that, I don't actually deny that MGTOW is an ideology, since an ideology can only be defined as a set of ideas and ideals, and MGTOW is a set of ideas and ideals. I mean, like, this is because you see, our understanding of the world is merely the projection of our consciousness. You see, here's how our understanding of the world works. Our five senses receives stimulus, and then we project that, and our consciousness experience it. So it's an idea, and MGTOW is a set of ideals. The ideals is pump and dump, boycott marriage, bachelorhood, basically. So that's the ideals. So I don't see how anything's wrong with that. So the first thing the guy said is that MGTOW is an ideology, so it's prone to ideological bias. Well, actually, if that's the case, then anything is prone to ideological bias, by the way. Anything is because seriously, like our understanding that a lot of our understanding is pretty much an idea, so it can be defined as an ideology. I mean, just the same way MGTOW can be defined as an ideology, so pretty much everything is prone to ideological bias, so that arguments really makes no sense at all. No sense. I mean, another thing that people say is that people say things like, oh, MGTOW is an ideology. So, but then an ideology usually has a piece missing, and the piece missing it, everything else crumbles, and that doesn't make any sense if they don't bring in any form of explanation. And the other argument, other than simply MGTOW is an ideology, so it's pro to ideological bias, the other argument to that is that, I mean, like when you talk to people about, okay, marriage leads to divorce, and divorce is disaster. It's a disaster. It's destruction. So we should avoid marriage. And people usually say, why are there so many divorces? Well, my response to that is usually that it's irrelevant, since, for example, if you fall off a building and you crack your skull and then your brain gets damaged and you die. I mean, like, well, for example, if you fall off a building and then if you see people falling off a building and you see them dying, do you say, and then someone else say, look, I mean, like, for example, maybe we're really attracted to falling off buildings but dying essentially, and then someone has the brains to see that falling off a building leads to death, painful death. Or someone has the brains to say it, and then the people who's going to jump off the building says, how does falling off a building leads to dying? I mean, like, really, falling off a building does lead to dying, but what causes it? Who gives a shit what causes falling off a building to leads to dying? Yeah, all I know is that falling off the building leads to dying. The same way it leads to marriage. People, I say, well, marriage leads to divorce, and divorce does this, does that to an individual. But people say what causes the divorce, and I'm not gonna respond to that, because who cares what causes the divorce? The marriage leads to divorce 90% of the time. So basically, when you're marrying and expecting not to divorce, you're basically playing a flip coin and calculating your results in a way that is shifts heavily to against your favor. I don't fucking understand, you know, these people that are against MGTOW, they don't make coherent arguments against MGTOW. I mean, the things that they say are true, but they only seem like they disprove MGTOW when you actually dissect it and analyze it, and in a detailed manner, you will actually come to see that it's actually nonsensical. Fucking ridiculous, man. It's just ridiculous. And this may be my last video. I don't know. If maybe I'll upload it again. I hope you stay around.